Now you kind of feel like you know what lies beneath. 150 already, the game's not even begun yet.
I know, it almost reminds me, you watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? It's like Captain Holt, it's like you trying to appear his face, it's like anger, sadness, pressure, stress, and it's all the exact same face, but the heart rate does not lie. And I'm actually a little bit relieved also to see the Trigger's heart rate, you know, at like a 103, it's kind of like I'm a little bit elevated, but it doesn't seem like he'd be too anxious or something like that.
In before it's actually like switched, you know? It's actually Trigger that's like freaking out. Yeah.
Get a defibrillator.
No, but this is going to be interesting. Trigger, he's being respectful here. Nice little probe scout. We'll keep this around to find out whether it's going to be a Reaper or a Marine. If a Marine pops out, you know the timing, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get away before this happens. And a factory, so he knows from this scout, most likely it's a double gas opening. Very safe opening by Maru, and respectful from him too. So a very respectful game on our hands so far.
Yeah, and I think one thing about this opening for Maru also is leading into what we were talking about earlier, that ability for the more experienced player to throw out something a little bit more aggressive and to kind of just force your opponent off their game plan. This is definitely one of those kind of openings that can do stuff like that with that faster factory.
It definitely can. The Reaper does show itself now. Gets to see, okay, it's a Nexus opening. That's nothing to worry about. It's exactly what I expected. Gets to see the Adept Shade as well, so he knows that's coming over the map, and it will be a Twilight Council opening. When I've seen Trigger play PvTs, I know he's been a Stalker boy. Now, I have no idea how much Maru really looks into what players do, but getting the Reaper early on, that's actually quite a nice big deal here. So first blood goes to Trigger.
Yeah, and now he's going to be very free to move out with both his Adept and his Stalker to the other side of the map. And I think you're absolutely right. Trigger is someone who loves those Blinky boys. He loves in general, I think, a lot of like early unit micro. He loves playing like micro tournament maps and things like that in his spare time. So not going to be a big surprise, but it is going to be interesting to see how effective it's going to be against someone like Maru. Cyclone already going to lock onto that Adept, and that Shade is way too late to save it.
Yeah, that was definitely not what he wanted with that Adept crossing the map. And it's going to be a Starport switching onto this Tech Lab.
Oh, man, it really sucks that he ended up using that Adept or losing that Adept so early, because imagine if it had been able to shade forward or something, scout out the front, he could have maybe seen the Tech Lab being swapped onto the Starport, reveal a little bit.
This is super interesting, by the way. So he's getting the Medevac and the Raven upgrade over here. So most likely, is he just hoping that an Adept Shade comes up again, or the Sentry comes and scouts this, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, are you doing Cloak Banshee? I feel like this is almost a bit of a fakey build here, but we'll see what he does after the Medevac pops out. But I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, he's already being a little bit cheeky with this.
Yeah, this is definitely really cute. I mean, it's not very often that I think a Protoss player will see the Medevac first and then the Banshee second. So this could actually just throw Trigger a little bit off of his game. If he sees this first Medevac, he says, okay, I dealt with it, starts moving out into the wrong position with the Stalkers, could be very unprepared for the Banshee. I do want to make a mention that there is a shield battery in that main mineral line. So one Banshee alone will not actually be the largest threat to the main.
It won't, but you can really tell that Maru was hoping he was going to get scouted with this. Like, he was hoping. And the fact that it's not come from Trigger, like, he just skipped the Sentry entirely, right, with his build. So, yeah, the mind games from Maru not truly paying off here, but I think did he cancel his first Banshee and then rebuilt it again? So I think, again, he does have it, but no Cloak on the go. So it's going to be a Cloakless Banshee opener. This is a good amount of units as well. No Tech Lab on the second barracks. This is going to be quite a spicy little push from him.
Yeah, but as you were kind of saying, the fact that there is no Tech Lab on that second barracks is going to mean that Maru really does have to get something done with this. This is something he is really committing to.
He is, and I mean, if he doesn't get too much done, I mean, it's not as if Trigger's third base is super darn early. Like, the fact he lost the Reaper early on meant he couldn't scout, but this push packs a punch. And I believe the third will start going up from Trigger right now. So that is almost like the absolute anti-timing for that to begin. Charge isn't even halfway done either. And this is actually like the first scout from Trigger finding out about this push. This arrived on his doorstep. This is not what he wants.
Yeah, he has 18 army supply to 43, and Immortal is going to be trying to pack a punch against some of these units, but the Sea Shank siege on up and immediately target fire down that Immortal. It already loses a lot of its shields and loses a bit of its hit points. Shield battery going down. Warp Gate also going to be under fire here, and I mean, Trigger doesn't even have have his flood of 4 gateways finishing up over here, even losing that one warp gate, losing the power to the Robo. This is brutal. He's going to blink forward for the Siege Tank, finds one of them, the Widowmine finds the rest of them, and the probes are going down.
That Widowmine was lovely. That Immortal in the top there getting a lot of shots off, but Trigger's supply is plummeting. The lack of scouting really bit him in the bum here, and that is so much firepower left in the army of Maru, and this build from Trigger, this was just far too greedy, and Maru caught him out completely. Even that tank is going to get taken out by those 2 Stalkers, most likely, but no, and GG, salt in the wound. Maru takes a clean game 1.
Really, really well done there by Maru. Really didn't have any major moments that he faltered. I mean, maybe you could say like the Reaper Scout or something, but he just felt like he was never really out of control in that game. And that exactly that kind of style of aggressive opening that forces your opponent to react to you in some way. And if you don't react perfectly, then that's exactly what happens. Trigger kind of gets bopped in that game.
I'm actually so surprised because Maru really expected a scout to come, like multiple times. You could see that with the way that he was playing and doing his upgrades, cancelling them, starting them again. He was absolutely expecting a hallucination to come. It never came. So like the mind games going on there with the cancelling just didn't happen. And it really felt like he thought, you know what, this guy hasn't scouted me at all. I know he's a blinky boy, if he's done any research, which I dare say he has, and that timing, it was a perfect timing to absolutely demolish his opponent. And Trigger, if he sticks with these kind of builds, because he is a guy that does like, you know, doing the thing. If you can get away with it, if you're not knocked off the track and you can get the game going, that's going to be great for you. But what Maru did here, setting the stage, doing something a little bit cheeky, but not that wild. Perfect opener.
Yeah, I really does beg the question. I really wonder if that was, like you were saying, almost like an adaptation of my opponent really is just not scouting me. Even my mind game like has not really seen the effect that I wanted. Did he just kind of adapt a little bit of it and say like, I think I can just go for this attack and he was not going to be prepared? Or if that was kind of his plan in the first place?
You never know with Maru, but like the fact that it happened and it literally didn't get spotted by the time it was at his base, like that's a crucial error from Trigger. And when it comes to the stage matches and playing against things that you don't play every day on the ladder or in your practice games, because that doesn't work against a lot of stuff. But the fact that the plan was to get scouted and then to do something, like, yeah, it worked out amazing for Maru. That build as well from Trigger, he had so few units, didn't even have like a Guardian Shield available because he never made a sentry, skipped all those techs, like that would have helped against that massive Marines. Yeah, just caught with his pants down. You
know, I think the more I like even try and think about it, it's just one of those situations where I feel like when you're an underdog coming into a match, it is more common to try and take those kind of risks and everything. And that maybe does lead into the part of the reason why it is oftentimes a more experienced player that goes for the aggressive openings. It just kind of naturally ends up finding ways to punish their opponent. But we are going to be up here in ley lines at the top right-hand side of the map on top of, once again, the red Protoss player from Basilisk. He is Trigger.
Yeah, didn't even get to remotely survive until Storm that game. Like, that was an absolute boppening. And spawning over in the bottom left as our blue Terran, it is Vitality's Maru. And Vitality, obviously, with a lot of hope for this man, given that they're already leading the club championships, if I'm not mistaken here. So, yeah, that would be huge for Vitality.
Yeah, and we do have an engineering bay block coming down from Vitality Maru. And important to note is if you guys heard in that opening video explaining the club championship and everything, you do actually, in order to win the club championship, you need to have someone win one of the games. And this is definitely a game that they have a player in that could very well be a world champion.
I think they actually won another title, actually. Maybe
really? They've already done it?
Yeah, so
wow.
I might be absolutely wrong here before I pour out all this wrong
information. Always good to have a backup, Ben.
But I do believe with the fact that they've got 1,200 points, you get like 1,000 per win,
Oh my God,
right?
you get a massive bump from having a W. So.
I know they're definitely doing well. Anyhow. So Maru started off here with gas first, barracks, into an engineering bay block, means he will have a very fast factory. Now, this often follows up with a Hellion build, given that the third Nexus, quite far away, you are susceptible to a lot of aggro and a lot of pressure, given you have to move about quite a lot, but it's not an all-in build. It's just to make the Protoss life a little bit more uncomfortable and maybe to throw them off a little bit. I really like how honed in Maru is into this idea of, I'm going to play a tiny bit weird. Like, this is still meta stuff, or stuff that has been meta in the past, but he's just going to go with it.
I think it's really smart, especially considering just the context of this match. We were talking about it before, but this is a match that both of these players, of all of the matches in this event, they get to prepare for the most. It is the first match that they had at least a week to prepare for. So what is the most likely match that you're going to have to play of StarCraft, where your opponent has very specifically catered build selection and everything that you can just throw off ever so slightly by doing little things like an engineering bay block?
I like this from Trigger, though. He's putting pylons in positions where it's like, okay, I can see if you're coming from this direction, so at least I can react. We'll be going for the Twilight again, which I don't hate, actually. I mean, Twilight openings are absolutely the key in PvT these days. And
Sentry this time, though.
Exactly. Sentry will be able to actually scout. And against an opponent like Maru, you have to be aware of what he's doing. And you see, 4 Hellions now. Is he just going to try and bypass into the main? So this is already a little bit scary, but that Sentry, absolutely key there in defending here. So I loved this defense. This game is already 10 times better for Trigger, but 3 Hellions is still enough to one-shot, but 2, that is not enough with a shield battery. And you know what? That is the best start that you could hope for here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he lost a probe or... Okay, there's the second probe going down. We do see the little counter there. So 2 probes go down. One of them just actually, I think, one of the probes that were on the far left-hand side. So beautiful defense so far. And Trigger even splitting up his Stalkers, so he even sees the Hellions darting their way back in and can get ready. Pulls the probes preemptively. Sentry, I thought maybe could be a target, but it's not a light tag unit anyways. So these Hellions, are they going to get into a dangerous spot? Ooh, they find one.
I tell you what, this is not the defense, though. He had Stalkers on the other side of the map, and they are going to be poking here. We do see the red light flashing and getting a little bit of eco damage done. I mean, Maru does have to respect this, but the damage done on the other side of the map, I'm not sure this is what Trigger wanted. The fact that he scouted that there was no bunker, I respect the effort, but still, there is going to be a tank out very soon, and that will put an end to this, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even Stim is actually getting close to finishing up, so he really has to be careful with these Stalkers. He's going to stick around for a little bit longer. Oh, boy. 12 seconds till Stim, and these Stalkers are going to be in a lot of trouble. Blink is still a ways away from finishing. One of the Stalkers does go down as the tank repositions itself. 6 workers in exchange for, I want to say, almost like the 12 or something.
Yeah, it was a good 11, yeah.
Yeah, that is going to be a bit rough, but it's still good that Trigger found some counter damage to the economy.
Yeah, I mean, the first 4 Hellions didn't do too much at all, you know, took out 2 of them, maybe 3rd, but then brought in another 4, and I tell you what, Trigger did not really anticipate that, I feel, and most errands don't really do that follow-up, but now we've got 3 barracks active, we got Stim done, combat shields on the go as well. It is a decently late starport out of Maru, so it's not as if he can be super active on the map. So this is now Trigger's time to be aggressive and do those things that he likes to do. Be a bit cheeky, blink done, exactly when this hallucination is done, gets to scout the tank, so getting in there, does he want to do that? I guess not, but he's going to pick off the depot and get out of there, so free damage, free damage.
Yeah, I want to say that was actually such a close and scary blink because the siege tank was sieged up in the main, but it was just absolutely barely out of range of the very corner. And ooh, this is big. Trigger scouts out the move out timing here. He's going to even see the SCVs. That is so big. He wants to buy as much time as possible. Charge is miles and miles away from finishing at this point, or kilometers, depending on where you're from. But Trigger is a North American boy, and he is going to try and find little bits and pieces of damage here to try and buy time. Maru's not going to have any of it, though.
I misread this entirely. There's no starport even done in the main base of Maru, so he is just absolutely pulling everything here, and this is a mighty all-in. There are multiple sentries available. There's no Immortal out, which can help with the tanks and doing the soaking, but look at the firepower in the army. That is humongous, and this is a good position for Maru. I mean, 1 tank does fall pretty quickly, but that is so much Stim bio. But the thing is, it can't stay around forever. There's no medevac here, but that is a huge Artosis pylon there, charging up all of that tech and the shield batteries. Now, SCVs have fallen, but barely any of the army itself, and that army on the other side of the map has had to come back. The probes, they're not mining. This is getting real dicey.
This is getting so scary, but the probes are still alive and Charge is getting close to finishing. Is it possible for Trigger to sacrifice one of the bases and mounted defense once charge actually finishes. Even +1 is getting closer and closer to finishing. I like the Trigger's pulling off some of the reinforcements, and here we go. Pros being pulled into the meat grinder. The Marines absolutely slaughtering them. The Stalker's also going down, and Trigger is at half the supply of his opponent. Into the main, Maru goes, stimming to death. He doesn't care because his opponent is going to be dead soon anyways.
I mean, he only had 3 gateways active, so even if you have charge lots, GG is called. Maru, in swift, decisive fashion, takes a 2-0 here. And I tell you what, he did not play totally normal at all, but he absolutely played in a way, and I talked about it before, I feel like I'm sort of in the same wavelength with Maru.